Okay, folks, I think we'll probably make a start, if that's okay with you all. My name is Suzanne MacLeod. I'm here on behalf of Cumbernauld Resilience, and for my stupidity, I suppose I volunteered to chair tonight's meeting. So you need to bear with me because it's quite a big meeting and quite a lot of names and faces. So, so first of all, welcome to the Cumbernauld Community Board meeting tonight. Thanks very much for everybody coming along. It seems like lots of participants, and that's really great. So, just a couple of reminders. If you could put your name in the chat bar if you haven't done so already, so that we know that you've been here with us. And if you are going to speak, if you could introduce yourself at the start of any input and just say what organisation you're from. If you could also mute yourself, I see most of you are, but if you mute when you're not speaking, that will help with feedback issues. And I think that is all of the sort of housekeeping. Do we have any apologies?
Yes, Chair, we have a couple. We've got Tony Williams and Gabriella Mitas.
Thank you. Any apologies from the floor of the meeting? No. Okay, thanks very much for that. We're going to move on to the minute of the previous meeting and matters arising. I'm aware that everybody's had a copy of the minutes out. Are there any matters of accuracy that you wish to raise?
Can I have myself added to the minutes? I was in attendance, but I'm not on the list. Alan Masterton.
Alan Masterton. Okay. Thanks very much, Councillor. Yep. Anyone else? And any matters arising from that last minute? Or anything that's not on tonight's agenda? Nope. Okay, that's fine, thank you. Okay, so we're now moving on to General Community Board business and updates, and item number 5, which is driving digital locally, and we have Lorraine Brown with us. Lorraine, are you?
Yes.
Okay, over to you, Lorraine.
Thanks very much, Suzanne. Matt, are you okay to share the slides, please?
It's not sharing. Lorraine, do you have a copy with it?
Yeah, I do. Share? Yep. Let me see if I can do this. Just let me know when you can see it. Can you all see that okay? Okay. So good evening, everybody. Thanks very much for inviting me along. My name's Lorraine Brown and I'm part of the Digital NL programme in North Lanarkshire Council. I'm here tonight to talk about the Council's digital agenda and to explore any training and access needs, and also how we can work with you to address these. So if you've got any questions, if you want to put them into the chat bar, I'll happily pick them up at the end. So as you're aware, North Lanarkshire Council established 9 community boards across the council as part of a framework for working with communities. The boards provide a structure for local decision making, investment and accountability, and this board provides us with the best platform to begin our discussion about digital developments and inclusion in Cumbernauld. The objective from the outset of the Digital NL programme was community involvement, and the role of the community boards is critical to this. So tonight I'm going to outline the Council's digital ambitions and how we intend to roll these out at a local level. I'll also be asking for your help at the end, both in terms of promoting the benefits of digitisation and also how you can get involved amongst your group members, neighbours and family, but also to work with us in addressing the barriers to digital inclusion and how we can ensure that no one is left out or excluded. So let's look at our progress of the digital journey so far. So the plan for North Lanarkshire is our strategic vision, and you're probably all familiar with it. We want to make North Lanarkshire the place to live, learn, work, invest and visit. And we have individual programmes of work to make our ambitions a reality. So you'll see the programmes of work on the left-hand side, and they're actually all specific to the digital NL work streams. And the ones on the right are further work streams that can be enhanced or enabled through the digital ways of working. So you'll see the ones that are specific to digital is around the transformation programme, and that's what I'm going to talk a bit about tonight. And the digital NL communication and engagement activity, we report that every quarter to the Transformation and Digitisation Committee. And we also thought it would be a good opportunity to share some of the work that we're doing with the community boards. Some of you will be aware that we created a customer services hub in November last year. And that really is to try and drive people to do things more sort of self-service, but also recognising that not everybody is able to do that. So we have got a customer services hub with a team of advisors that can answer calls and do transactions on your behalf as well. Critical to the digital NL programme is really to sort of upskill our workforce with the skills to be able to work in a digital world, but we're also really keen to try and roll that out in the communities as well. And then business intelligence, it's recognised that there's lots of different data sets across the council, and if we can try and pull that all into one place, we'll be able to get much more better analytics and be a bit more proactive in the services that we provide to our residents. So during the first design stages of the digital NL programme, we identified 5 key areas of work, and these are outlined on the left. So we've got the digital economy, digital community, digital transactions, digital workforce, and the analytics and insight. The areas that you're probably most interested in is the digital community and then the digital transactions. NLC has an ambition to be the leading digital authority, if not in Scotland, across the UK, and we've got quite an ambitious target to try and achieve that. We want to use digital technology to support people to live independently for longer in their own homes. For example, to give peace of mind to family members through alerts if an elderly person has fallen in their home. So we're looking at some of the artificial intelligence and smart technology to help with that. We want to make it easier for you to be able to contact the council online at a time that suits you. Traditionally, I think councils have always been sort of 9 to 5, and that's not always that convenient for people. So by moving a lot of our services online, it opens it up to more people. And as I said earlier, we want our workforce to be digitally skilled, and using automation will free up resources, it avoids duplication, and it also lets us allocate our resources much more efficiently. And lastly, we want to be smarter in the use of data that's available to us to let us monitor trends and make better informed decisions. So how are we going to drive this locally, and what do we mean by this? So it really is all about supporting our communities and working with individual community boards, as we recognise that one size doesn't fit all. We want to work with you in identifying and meeting your digital needs, and we want to be able to build digitally capable and confident communities to ensure that you can take advantage of new job opportunities in the technology sector, and to ensure that your children and young people are equipped and able to participate fully in digital learning. So what do we know so far? We know, well, one thing we do know is it's not easy. If it had been easy, we would have probably done it a long time ago. Stakeholder engagement around the local outcome improvement plans that you participated in before Christmas shows that all 9 community board areas identified digital inclusion as a priority. 6 areas identified affordability as a key concern, And the need to ensure that people have broad digital skills was raised in 6 areas, and 3 highlighted the importance of this for older people. And while it was recognised that opportunities such as Teams meetings are great for involving wider audiences, there's a risk that people who are not digitally connected could be left out. And that's one of the things that we're keen to work with the community to boards on about at more of a local level, and just what you've told us. So where are we now? I think that this slide sort of talks for itself. There's been quite a lot of work done. So even just looking at the community boards, they've attracted over 300 attendees, and approximately 1,100 live streams or recordings have been viewed. We've got we've rolled out over 3,000 devices to support pupils' remote learning during the sort of COVID situation. And also through Connecting Scotland, we've provided nearly 2,000 devices to individuals and families, again, just to help with that whole connectivity piece. And there's obviously, you'll see there, other work that's ongoing. So how can you help? Why am I here tonight? So we're actually hoping that you could get on board and work with us in helping to ensure that our communities are digitally included, confident, capable and connected. So we would ask that you would encourage any groups that you're involved with to become involved, and support individuals if they feel excluded or they simply don't understand or are lacking in digital confidence. And if you could signpost them to our digital champions or community learning and development or our libraries. I appreciate that some of the libraries are closed at the moment, but that's an area that we would like to do more work on. So another area where you could help is, some of you will probably be familiar with the My Account. This was a Scottish Government initiative, and the sort of driver behind it really was that you would put your information into an authentication tool once. You would get authenticated, i.e. you are who you say you are, so that you get access to the right data. And then that opens up a whole host of services that you can either apply for or get information on. So, and as I said, in November, we actually launched our new Digital NL website for the council, and we also went live with our new customer relation management system, which sits on the Microsoft platform. And we went with waste, mainly because it's an area that probably most residents in the council are familiar with, and we moved a lot of our services online. So some of them there, you'll see you can now report an issue with your household waste. You can request a special uplift. You can request a missed bin. If your bin's been missed, you can report it. And also, if you've got health reasons and you want to get an uplift every week, you can request that online as well. And in response to COVID, we very quickly in January stood up a team to be able to move the taxi fund grant. So it was announced early January that there would be funding for taxi drivers, and we actually put that online to allow people to be able to do it and see the status, and it allowed us then to pay it much quicker than if we'd done it manually. And that's now been stood up for the discretionary grants as well, and we'll continue to move more of the business grants. So that's really just some examples of what we've got on our new portal, and we're obviously working across other council areas so that we can get more processes on there, so you'll be able to report it and pay for it. So really the sort of takeaway, I suppose, from tonight's meeting is to think whether you would have time to join our digital subgroup, to work with us in helping shape our digital agenda to ensure it meets your needs and aspirations for your friends and family. We rolled out a number of those processes last November, and because of lockdown, we had quite a lot of ideas about how we would engage with our communities. We've been out in the past to the sort of tenant participation groups. We were hoping to do something with our young people, hope that they would maybe become digital ambassadors and help some of the less digitally enabled people within their communities, but a lot of that's on hold at the moment. So it would be really, really good if we could try and get a subgroup sort of set up, and so that we can help, or you can help us with rolling out sort of future initiatives. So if you're interested in getting involved, I'll drop my email into the chat bar. Please do get in touch with me. Or there's a digital NL mailbox that is monitored, and we'll be able to pick it up then. So thanks very much for listening to what I was saying. And if you've got any questions at all, I'm more than happy to try and answer them. I can't see the chat bar, but I'm just about to stop sharing, and hopefully I will be able to see it. Okay.
That's smashing, Lorraine. Thanks
Thank
very
you.
much. There is a question in the chat bar from Amanda Crichton. Amanda, do you want to come in? Lorraine, I'm not sure if you can hear me, but
I can hear you
question
fine, but I
you
can't
hear
hear
me,
Amanda.
Okay. Amanda, you may be on mute.
Hi everyone, Amanda here. Yes, sorry, I'm happy for this question to be answered offline. I'm just wondering, are the SLAs for each of the My Account issues published? Thinking more about adoption of using the online service and people understanding any expected turnaround times, because obviously when you use something like email or you call, you get that more instant response. So just thinking of some root cause analysis in terms of the uptake of the service, if things like the SLAs were published so people knew what to expect.
For specifically the My Account, or for the council services?
For the council services.
Yes, I think we do have SLAs, and I think we would be more than happy to share them with you. So I'll check that out with the.
It's not necessarily with me. What I'm thinking
just to put
is
it to make it available on our website. Do you mean?
Yeah, if you communicate those on the My Account, then you're probably able to increase the uptake of people using that My Account service, because they understand how long the issues will take. Whereas if you don't set those expectations, you can lead to people maybe calling up and going out with that process. So it's almost setting an expectation for them. I just think it would help if people knew.
Okay, leave that with me and I'll look into it. Thank you.
Thanks, Amanda. Councillor Goldie?
And just really to see if there's any areas within the Cumbernauld area that we have internet connectivity issues. I know certainly traditionally north of the A80 and various other places in Seafar, Ravenswood had difficulty over things like television reception or that. Do we have enough coverage for everybody to take part in it, or do we have internet dead spots within Cumbernauld?
I honestly don't know the answer to that, Councillor Goldie, but I can look into it. I mean, one of the projects that we're looking at as part of the Digital NL is around the whole connectivity piece, because a lot of our kind of outlying villages do have issues with connectivity, and we know that. Cumbernauld probably better connected than some other areas, but certainly can find out if there's any spots there that causes issues.
Thanks, Lorraine. Anyone else get any points that they wish to make? If you indicate in the chat bar, please. No. Not seeing anything, and I'm not seeing anybody waving frantically, so I'm assuming that everybody's happy then for us to move on. Yep. Thanks very much.
Sorry, Chair, can I just say a point? Lorraine's still shown on the screen. If she could maybe take that down, that would be great. Thanks.
Have I still got the slides shown on the screen?
Yeah.
Yeah, right, okay, let me I thought I had taken it down. That's why I couldn't see anybody.
Yeah, that's you now.
Okay, is that you? That's fine. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Lorraine. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay. moving on to the next item then, Matt, board development sessions, over to you.
Thanks, Chair. It's just to give an update and some plans we have for training of board representatives going forward. After this cycle of boards, we're going to be developing some opportunities for local community representatives, elected members who are interested in coming along to board development sessions to hear about some of the things that you're going to be listening to, like, for example, the digital you've heard about tonight, but also things like, for example, participatory budgeting, community asset transfer, community safety issues, a wide-ranging issue, the plan for North Lanarkshire, community investment fund, etc. A number of things that you'll hear discussed at the boards going forward, and it's just to have an opportunity to come along and hear about some of these things in a bit more detail. So we're going to be planning those over the next few weeks, and we'll send out invitations to people with a number of dates to let you know when they're going to be taking place, for you to come along and discuss and hear from ourselves and from other partners about the plans and the bigger issues affecting the community boards going forward. So if you're interested in that, you can let us know once we send out invitations. If anybody's got any ideas of anything in particular that you'd like to hear about at these development sessions, then please let us know, and we can pick those up and try and ensure that the development session is moulded around what the communities are looking to hear about, as opposed to us just coming up with an agenda and bringing that agenda to the table. We want to hear what you want to discuss at the development sessions in a bit more detail. So if you could be patient with us just now for a few weeks, we'll get these pulled together, we'll get some dates out to you, and then we'll take that forward. Thanks, Chair.
That's great, thanks. Yeah, look forward to receiving that. Apologies, Christine Boyle, I missed the terms of reference feedback, so can we come to you next?
Okay, no problem, Chair. I just wanted to give a wee quick feedback on the terms of reference. For people that are new tonight, we had circulated the terms of reference, which was very much a draft, but the broad base of the terms of reference was approved by the Council's Policy and Strategy Committee. We do need strict governance round about the boards to help us as a basis for developing the board moving forward, and also clear processes and procedures. I want to thank all of the people that came back to me with the points they wanted to raise about that, about the terms of reference. Some of the points that were raised included questions about the voting rights, and just to kind of explain that the voting rights themselves reflect elected representation on the board, but it's preferable that decisions are made through consensus, based on clear evidence and community engagement processes, and voting would be a very much a last resort, and would only be used if consensus could not be agreed by the whole board. Issues were raised about the language and terminology used as well, and we are going to look at any abbreviations. We're going to make sure that they'll be explained fully. We are going to add on a glossary of terms at the end of the document to make sure that it's easier to understand and that anybody reading it has no difficulty in understanding what's been said. Some of the things that were brought forward as well, talking about board development, obviously Matt has mentioned that already, and that was one of the things that was raised as well in terms of people's feedback. What I want to say is that we've taken all of the issues that people have raised on board, and what I'll do is I'll recirculate the document with amendments, and if you're happy for that to be agreed as the terms of reference, then we would look to have that adopted. That's all I want to say, Chair. Thanks very much.
Ashton, thanks very much, and thanks to everybody that contributed to that. Okay, now we'll go back to Matt, and it's the item on local development programme.
Thanks, Chair. It's just that this report will have been issued. This is regarding the local development programme. It's to provide an update to the community board in progress with the local development programme for 2021 in the area, and to give some information relating to future project development. Appendix 1 of the report shows some of the projects that are still remaining to be completed in the area. There's 3 projects in Appendix 1 there. There's some detail in relation to that regarding the projects that are still to be completed this year. They will be completed as soon as possible. And Appendix 2 of the report gives a list of a number of projects which have previously been approved in the locality partnership meetings or previous community boards. At the last meeting there was a few projects missed off of that. Hopefully we're now representing the projects that have been noted by the board in this area. There's a few other projects that have been put on there as well that we're seeking further approval for this evening. Abbotsford Court, Torbrex Road and community safety CCTV cameras in Netherwood Avenue. A number of projects there in the areas, and we're looking for in principle approval for these projects from the board this evening. Going forward, we are waiting at the moment for confirmation of what the budget will be for the local development programme for the next financial year and beyond. Once we have that, and I'm assuming that we should be aware of that within the next couple of weeks, and we can let people know on the board what the budget settlement for us will be for that. And the way to let you know, the way the budget works is we'll get a total budget for the whole of North Lanarkshire. That is then divided up across the 9 community board areas, and within that, some of that money is top sliced to look at SIMD figures for the areas with multiple deprivation, and the rest of it is based on population. So that's the kind of mechanism that's used to identify how we allocate the budget to the area. So we'll give you a figure for that, and then we'll look at we'll start the process of looking at the projects for delivery and how that coincides. Importantly, it's been mentioned a couple of times tonight, is about the local outcome improvement plans, how it links into the priorities for this area. So there's a lot of projects on there at the moment that will come up against a budget. So there's going to be a lot of competition for projects in the area for that, because we can say probably immediately we won't have sufficient funds in year 1 to deliver every project. So we're going to have to revisit how we do that, but we'll agree that as a board going forward. And it's maybe one of the things we can look at coming on to talk about subgroups a wee bit later on, is maybe consider a subgroup to look at the projects in a bit more depth to see how we can best deliver that. But that's where we are with the local development programme at the moment, Chair, and I'm happy to take any questions or queries anybody's got. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. Anybody get any questions or any points they want to make on this? Nope. Oh, okay. Are we happy to approve the additional projects? Anybody get any comment on that? Billy? You're on mute, Billy. We're not hearing you at all, Billy, sorry. No. Nope. Billy, can you unmute yourself? Do you know how to do that?
Billy, there's a button down at the bottom of your screen. It'll probably saying unmute. Just click on the unmute button. I can't hear you, Billy, unfortunately.
No.
Billy, we'll arrange to make, if you can't get on, we'll make sure we contact you and get the feedback you want to give.
Yeah, that would be helpful. Oh, how frustrating. That's a shame. Anyone else get any comment? Any other? Okay, so we're okay to approve, subject to obviously in principle, and then we'll be looking at these in future in terms of our budget decision and what the budget outcome is. Okay, that's fine, thank you. The next item is local outcome improvement plans, and that's over to Leanne. Thank you.
Thanks, Chair. Christine's going to very kindly share the presentation for me, because I had a bit of a disaster the other night as well, so just to be on the safe side. So I was involved in a meeting the other night with a few members of the community board, the Short Life Working Group, who are taking forward the development of the local outcome improvement plan for the Cumbernauld area. So they've been taking all of the kind of data that's come in for the community and stakeholder engagement and trying to kind of work through that and try to identify key trends and themes. So there's a number of people on this call tonight that was involved in that meeting, and I'm really just going to give a kind of brief update, but others can obviously chip in and pick up on anything that maybe I've missed. Next slide, please, Christine. So just to recap, what we're trying to do here is to co-produce between the community boards, the public sector agencies and the voluntary sector for each of the 9 community board areas. We're trying to co-produce action plans reflecting local community need with a particular focus on intervention. We're aiming to look at making sure these plans maximise the use of shared resources within and for your community and improve outcomes for those experiencing the highest levels of inequality. So what we've done so far, there was a phased approach approved way back last year through the North Lanarkshire Strategic Leadership Group and also through the community boards. Phase 1 was around mapping out what the kind of key council services and partner agencies, what their priorities are in terms of the plan for North Lanarkshire and how they then fit at a local level. So what are some of the bigger priorities in North Lanarkshire that are going to be important to local people? A good example would maybe be poverty or town and community hubs. Phase 2 was about stakeholder engagement and really looking at engaging with some of the key community groups, partners and organisations within communities. And Phase 3 was about wider community engagement activities, and we had a series of community stakeholder events. We had community listening events, stakeholder sessions. We had specific engagement with elected members, and we did a universal online survey to gain people's views. Next slide, Christine. So we're now in phase 4 of development of the plans. So it's getting a bit more exciting now. We're getting to the point where we're trying to identify, we're starting to see key priorities and themes kind of coming out. So the stage we're at now is working alongside the community boards to use all that information that's came out through the Short Life Working Group, which has started to meet. So that, as I said, that's a few people who are on this call tonight. So that group's been set up, and what they're there to do is to review all of the available feedback, data and intelligence that's come in through the community and stakeholder engagement, but that's also there through the area profiles that we've developed for each of the 9 areas with the kind of the hard statistics that tell us what things look like in this area. What does the data tell us? They're there to highlight and start to discuss some of the emerging themes and to identify potential priorities and think about ideas for solutions and actions. Next slide, Christine. So this is the template. It's quite small. You probably can't really see the detail there, but we can circulate the presentation. This is the kind of template that we're going to be using. So as we identify what a kind of priority area, whether it's a geographical neighbourhood within Cumbernauld or whether it's like a thematic priority, like I said, around poverty, financial inclusion, community safety, whatever, this is how we'll start to then unpick that and start to look at what the detail of that is. So it'll just be about what is the priority, describe what that means, things like why. So the most important ones I think are the kind of the boxes from kind of halfway down. What is it we're going to do? What are the actions we're going to take? Why are we going to do that? How will we know that we're on track and that we're actually achieving around that? What will success look like? And really importantly for this, because we have a requirement under the Community Empowerment Act, and also because it's the right thing to do, to make sure that we are evidencing that we're targeting our shared resources to reducing inequalities within our communities, and really importantly, who will be responsible for delivering on that priority or leading it, not necessarily delivering, leading. So we'll have one of these moving forward. We will have one of these kind of templates completed for each priority that's identified, and it'll go into a lot more detail. Next slide. So some of the priorities that have been identified so far through the work that Colin Bruce has been doing with the Short Life Working Group, to kind of look at all that evidence that we have. So the priorities that have been identified in Cumbernauld are around public transport, digital inclusion, involvement of and purposeful engagement with young people, maintenance of green space and environmental quality maintenance, financial insecurity, clear communication processes and COVID-19 recovery. And I think there might be some in the next slide, Christine. Community engagement and consultation and priority areas that have been identified have been Cadbury, Aberdeen Hill and Kildrum, but recognising that due to COVID-19 other communities will need support and development. So what they've started to do, I don't think any of that will be a surprise to anybody here. You know, there are challenges and issues that we've probably been aware of in Cumbernauld for a while. I think what this does is it gives us the evidence to say what we're going to do about these. Let's all get our heads together and say these really are priorities, because our local communities, even broader than the community board, have told us that these are challenges and issues and things they want to focus on. So that's where we've got to for now. Next slide. So the next steps are about what we're looking to do next is the Short Life Working Group will continue to meet throughout kind of March right through to June to work on the action plans and to engage with partners to agree that the approach to developing action under each priority. So as I say, all we've got at the moment is these are the kind of key themes and priorities that are coming out. But what they're aiming to do is to have a draft plan with a bit more detail, maybe not complete, maybe not absolutely completed, but certainly an outline of the key priorities, who are the development leads, and what are some of the kind of key things that are starting to emerge in terms of actions. And we're hoping to have that by April 2021. The community board, what we're hoping to do is, because through these community board meetings, as you know, the agendas are really, really busy. And there's loads of really important things to talk about. So there's not always time to really sit and go into the detail of a plan and give it the attention it requires. So we're proposing that there's a dedicated community board session arranged for April, early May, to present the draft plan for discussion and debate. And then from there, we'll then make it available to the wider community through social media, etc., for additional comment. We would then be hoping that the initial plan would be approved and published from June, July. So we would hope to bring a final draft to the, I think it's June, community board meeting for approval, and then we would be looking at publishing that online because we do have a requirement to do that. So I suppose it's moving forward, once we get to that stage, what will probably happen and what we're hoping will happen is that the priorities for the plans for North Lanarkshire will start to be part of the community board agenda, and that the board subgroups will start to reflect what those priorities are, so that you've got a kind of relationship between what's discussed at the board and that action that's happening out within communities. We will be monitoring and reporting regularly using the template that was there, but kind of doing it in a more kind of community friendly way. An annual report will be prepared to highlight successes, achievements and any proposed amendments. So we're looking for these plans to be not short-term plans. So on the template there is short, medium, long-term space for actions around short, medium and long-term, and we do want these plans to probably for the next kind of 6 or 7 years to be, because that's really when you start to see what impact that they're having if you take it over a good few years. But what we do want to do is to be able to review them regularly, so the priorities might not change, the outcomes and what we're trying to achieve might not change, but the detail of the action might, just depending on circumstances, because communities change, funding changes, organisations change, so we need to have a bit of flexibility. So I suppose just the last point that I would want to make is it's not a one size fits all. So what we're looking at as the kind of subgroup is, how do we take each of the priorities that we've identified as an individual and look at what needs to be done around that. So there might be some of the priorities that's a really easy action, you know, it's quite clear what we need to do and it's quite easy to do that, and that's fine. We can do things quite quickly. There might be other ones that actually the actions might sit elsewhere. There might be existing structures or processes there that are best placed to take that action forward. I'm thinking things that maybe sit within the health and social care partnerships priorities, so or youth involvement, for example. We wouldn't want to set up a community board subgroup for something when there's already an existing structure there. We would want to engage with the existing structure and look at their role and leading around that. And I suppose my final point is there also might be some actions that the first kind of iteration of that priority and actions might reflect things like, actually what we need to do with this is further community engagement or further kind of mapping of what's already out there, because although it is a priority for the community, we don't quite know the detail of exactly what that means or how it will translate into an action. So that's kind of where we're at right now and the thinking moving forward. Happy to take any comments or questions, and there's probably other people who were involved in the discussion who are better placed to answer those questions than me. I'm just kind of putting forward where they've got to so far. And I suppose that the key question is, are people quite happy with the direction that the short life working group is taking things in, and the priorities that have been identified in the proposed approach? Sorry, I'm getting all tongue-tied tonight. I've spoken far too much today, far too many meetings, honestly. Happy to take comments, questions, observations.
That's smashing, Leanne. Thank you very much. Comments, questions, anyone? Anyone that's on the working group want to contribute? I'm not seeing any hands. Nope. Everybody quite happy then with the direction that Leanne's mapped out for us? Yep.
I think Billy's trying to get in again.
Okay. Billy?
Matt, can you unmute Billy? No?
No, all I can do is send a request to unmute, but if he doesn't action it, then I can't do it. He just needs to click the button, unfortunately.
Yeah. Billy, we can see you waving, we just can't hear you. Have you got an unmute button at the bottom of your screen? No.
Sometimes it's just a wee symbol. I don't know. You can it normally says mute or unmute, but sometimes in other systems it's just a wee symbol. It might just be the wee symbol rather than saying.
You get a wee microphone shape. No. No, oh, that's a real shame. Again, we're going to have to speak to you offline, Billy. We will link in with you. I think Matt's probably best placed to have that conversation about everything. It's a shame because I'm sure you'll be able to contribute a lot to the discussion. Anybody else? Colin?
No, that's an error there, sorry. No, I was just going to say thanks to the group because, you know, we've met, I'm trying to think, because we're doing all three, we're at different stages. I think we've met twice. So it is quite intensive work and there's a lot of information, you know, just in our discussions, and there's a lot of information in our file sharing system for people to have got the ability to look at it. So it is quite intense, but you know, your time spent is worthwhile in helping us mould this plan, this community plan, this LOIP for the Cumbernauld Board area, and it will, you know, over, as Leanne said, it is over a longer period of time, 6 years or whatever. But we need to kind of take simple steps, maybe get some quick wins that you know, build confidence in what we're doing, build confidence in the board, because the more and more kind of interaction and engagement we have, people will hopefully, and especially people who, you know, seldom heard, will get involved in discussion. So I think it's really important we move forward and positive, and you know, we've now kind of started to look at the templates, as Leanne has said, and we're with the, I hesitate to use the word triangulation, but with the linkages and all the same messages and the themes and the priorities are coming out from different levels of engagement. We are seeing real kind of priorities come out from local people and local communities, and I think that's important because the bottom line for us, it's got to be community led, and that's what we're all here for. Thank you.
That sounds really good, Colin. Would you be able to share with us the kind of groups that are involved in the working group? The kind of areas?
Well, some of them are here. I have to say, we've got Alex from the Cumbernauld Environmental Society. We've got Councillor Goldie's on it. We've got Lisa Snedden from Cumbernauld Village Community Council and various other things. We've got Anne Innes, who's there. Anne actually has just taken over as Chief Executive of Cumbernauld Action and Care for the Elderly just in the last week or so. And we've also got our very important partners, Anne Alexander there from the Health and Social Care, and we've got Gabby, who's not here tonight. And we've got Grant's taking the minutes tonight, Grant McLean from Vanel. So it's a small group, but it's purposeful, and we move forward. And in each of the, I don't want to go into the other board areas, but in each of the 3 board areas, we've got similar entities working towards the draft, really, and the information and the conclusions that we will bring out. So it's great because we're seeing a wide spread of information and the linkages within it. And an important message that I've been trying to say to the LOIP groups, the local outcome improvement groups, are that, you know, there's the data, there's the evidence, our kind of reasoning, or our kind of the end point is the data, and everything's got to link up. So whilst there may well be surprises come out, I can't see it, because we've actually done such intense data gathering and engagement. And actually, oh, Emma, sorry, Emma, I missed out. We're great young person, Emma Pratt. Apologies, Emma. I just seen you on the screen there. Emma's been a fantastic ambassador for young people on our group. So yes, I know I'm taking up too much time. I apologise, but it's going well, and we'll move forward. And thank you to the partners and community reps and the councillors who are involved in the process. Thank you.
That sounds really great, and thanks to everybody that's involved. I noticed Leanne's comment in the chat bar that if anybody wants to be involved in the working group, please let us know. So either fire your name into the chat or get in touch with one of the officers. That'd be great. Okay, any other comments? Are we content to move on? Okay. Okay, so Christine, it's board reference and subgroups.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. I just wanted to follow on from what Leanne was saying in terms of, I know she'd started mentioning about some of the subgroups. We want to kind of make sure that any subgroups for the board link to the local priorities and to the local outcome improvement plan. We don't want to duplicate things, as Leanne said. We want to make sure that we're linking in, and we're very much aware that there's a lot of really good work going on the ground, and we don't want to duplicate that. We want to make sure that we're looking maybe at what the gaps are within that. In terms of suggestions that have been put forward from the board so far, we've had community safety. And it was interesting to see that Leanne was saying there about in her presentation about youth issues, because youth issues is one that came separately from the LOIP. Digital subgroup was one that was put forward as well, and I see that that's coming through the local outcome improvement plan as well. Matt suggested there as well about LDP projects, so if people are interested in looking at that and seeing what the kind of priorities are in terms of that, those projects, then that would be great as well. I think Lisa, I can't see her at the moment, but I think Lisa wants to talk a wee bit about climate change and a potential subgroup for that. Lisa, I can see you now, Lisa. Do you want to say a wee bit about that, Lisa?
Yes, thank you. It was just in response to the consultation paper we got out, the paper, and there was an expectation that community boards would put in a response. Very aware that we haven't done that, so it was looking to see if it was worthwhile to have a subgroup, whether long-term or short-term, to look at biodiversity, which includes the climate change agenda. That's it.
Thanks, Lisa. That sounds good. Yeah, I mean, I think that sounds like something that we should be definitely thinking about. Anyone want to make any comment, volunteer, get involved? It might be worth, Christine, if we fire around all the members a wee sort of note of the kind of subgroups that we're thinking about, and maybe people could volunteer in that way. That'd be doable.
Happy to do that, Chair.
Great stuff. Okay, does that cover that item then, Christine?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so just moving on then. Item number 7, consultation plans around the town and community hubs, and that's back over to Matt.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Just very briefly, just to make people aware of the town hub that's taking place, the event that's taking place the 9th of March, 6:30 to 8:30. We'll put a note in the chat bar that gives a link to the Eventbrite booking system for that. If anybody are interested in going along to that event regarding Cumbernauld, then please sign up to that. I want to open it up. It's open to as many people who want to attend as possible, so please have a look at it and sign up. I just wanted to highlight that today, Chair. Thanks.
That's great, thanks. Yeah, I've certainly seen quite a bit of chat on social media, so hopefully that will be a busy consultation. Okay. Number 8 is petitions. We don't have any for the meeting tonight, no. Okay, that's fine. We'll just move on. I'm going to go back to item number 4 that I should have mentioned earlier on, and that was the item on the Chair of Community Board Arrangements. And essentially what we're saying, and I think this was mentioned at the last meeting as well, is that the ambition would be to rotate the chair of the boards amongst the community representatives and on the group. So if anyone is interested in taking that forward, I know Lisa's doing a subgroup, aren't you, chairing a subgroup, but if anyone else is interested in taking part in their turn of being chairing the group, then that would be very much welcome, and it'd be great to get as many different organisations and people from different organisations involved. So again, please, if you are interested in that, either contact Christine or make yourself known through the community matters inbox. Okay. Item number 9 is input from local community groups. Do we have anyone who's expressing an interest of putting any input at the moment? No.
Chair, it's Matt Costello. There's nobody on the put anything forward at the moment, but just to open it up, just if there is anybody's interest, even raising any at this point without prior notification, they're more than welcome to raise any issues at this particular time.
Okay, so the opportunity to raise any sort of issues from community groups. Anyone get anything they want to throw in for the moment? Nope. I've not seen anyone. Okay. I guess it's Thursday night and it's the end of the week. We're all maybe a bit tired. And okie dokie. Again, we will for the next meeting we'll look for items. So if anyone has anything at that point in time, then please feel free to bring it up. Okay, community planning partners. I noticed we have we've got David from Fire, and I noticed as well Neil from Police. Anyone else? Okay, David, Neil, anyone want to?
I'll go first tonight, Neil. So I've got a paper here that I circulated. I don't know if you have it, but I will share my screen just now and just go through that. Does that come up there?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So it's my intention to provide this paper at each board meeting, and it will cover the period from the previous one. I'd be very interested to hear if there's anything in it that you think shouldn't be in it or is not required, and likewise, if there's anything you would like included, please let me know, and I'll look to include that at the next paper. So this covers the period from 1st of December to the 4th of March. And it gives an overview of the training subjects that the local station have been undertaking in that time, which has been knots, lines and ropework, hazmats and instant command. Moving on to the key performance indicators, we've had 123 operational incidents within the area, and they fall into the following 7 KPIs. The first of which is deliberate fires. There have been 8. Accidental fires, there have been 17 of those, 12 of which have been within the home. So the main message there is we're really all spending more time at home, and it's to be extra vigilant. These are mainly attributable to cooking fires, so it's maybe where someone's been either under the influence or distracted, but in most cases the accidental dwelling fires in the home setting is attributable to cooking. Going on to the third one, thankfully there's been no fire casualties from those fires, and there's 4 non-domestic fires, so that's fires within settings that are anything other than domestic. There's been 22 special services. This is really anything that isn't a fire incident, and 11 of those have been to assist the Scottish Ambulance Service to effect entry to premises or render medical assistance. There's been no RTC casualties in that period, and there have been 76 false alarms. The largest majority of them are what we call UFAS, that's unwanted fire alarm signals, and we continue to engage with the duty holders to try and reduce that number. We've undertaken 27 home fire safety visits. This has been quite challenging, and so much that we've been pretty much confined to the station to try and protect the frontline service delivery. But we've still conducted those visits to the highest risk individuals within our communities, and we've been undertaking that over telephone as well as visiting in person. We've been referring our high risk individuals within the community through the adult protection procedures, and where that's necessary, we've been conducting case conferences to try and ensure those people get the help that they need. Our spring thematic action plan has just started on the 22nd of February, and we are engaging with the schools, the social media platforms there. Every year in the run up to Easter, we notice a spike in secondary fires, which are rubbish fires, grass fires, and kind of coincides with the kids being off school. So we're trying to target our community engagement round about that to try and reduce that number this year. And the final slide is just a wee overview of those statistics. I've put my email in the chat bar. I'm happy to take any questions on any of that just now, and anything else you may wish to ask. And if there's nothing just now, you can contact me anytime between now and the next meeting to ask any questions. I will stop sharing my screen. I noticed in the chat bar there was one question in relation to the new legislation in relation to fire alarms. That has been deferred to, I think it's February next year. But the requirement will be that all dwelling houses will require a linked smoke detection system with a heat detector in the kitchen. As you probably know, we undertake home fire safety visits just now, and we fit smoke alarms with 10-year batteries. Moving forward, due to the expense of these systems, we won't be fitting them in every household, but they will be fitted to the highest risk individuals that are referred to us from our partner agencies. So these can be bought from DIY suppliers, and they don't need to be hardwired. They can be linked via Bluetooth. So there's not a requirement to run wires and rip up floorboards and the like. They can be linked, like I said, via Bluetooth. I think I mentioned this at the last board meeting, but it's just to raise awareness of when anything new like this comes out. There's also kind of scam artists who try to take advantage of it, and we have had a few reports of people being doorstepped and offering smoke alarm systems for thousands of pounds, which turned out to be battery operated smoke detectors that you can get in B&Q for 20 quid. So we will never contact people to offer this service. So if you any of the community groups you're involved in, if you can make them aware of that, that would be appreciated. Just one final thing, we've undertaken a couple of joint crime and fire prevention activities within the community with our partners in Police Scotland. During December, these were in Cumbernauld, Mulcroft and Ivanhoe areas. And these are in response to operational activity at the time, and that's something we'll continue to do. So that concludes my brief update, and I'm happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Smashing, thanks very much. Any questions? No. Oh, Councillor Goldie.
Thanks, Suzanne. I just had a question about the unwanted fire alarms. Are we still continue to get them, even though maybe a lot of the premises are closed? And is there any action that we can take against them? Because it's not particularly great if you guys are having to show up all the time and it's just a faulty alarm.
Thanks, Councillor. Yes, there is. We're constantly reviewing the instance that we get on ClickView. They are still coming in, even when premises are unoccupied. There is glitches in the system and whatnot. We're reviewing the unwanted fire alarm signal strategy. So in the future, we may be looking at reducing instead of sending 2 fire appliances to these instances, we might reduce that to 1. Where there's no sleeping risk and it's a persistent problem and the duty holders aren't engaging, we would probably look to be withdrawing that service. So there is things we're looking at, but it does continue to be a problem, particularly the high number of industrial premises we've got in the Cumbernauld and surrounding area. But it's something that it's one of your priorities in our area plan, and it's something we're continually trying to reduce, Councillor.
Thanks very much. That's smashing. Neil, over to you. Get anything to update?
Thanks very much. Yeah, I'll just run through a quick summary of the main crimes and trends for the last quarter. So I'll start off with serious assaults. We've had 3 over the last 3 months. First one, 16th of December, whereby a 31-year-old and a 21-year-old were arrested and held custody for an incident in Lateral Road, which amounted to serious assaults. 19th of December, a 61-year-old male, believe it or not, arrested following a serious assault which involved a knife at a property in Shannon Road in Cumbernauld. And on the 21st of December, a 51-year-old male arrested following an incident at a property at Smithy Ends in the village. Another one I'll mention is a rather worrying incident the 6th of February on Medlar Road, Neighbouring Hill, where some may have seen this in the local press, where a bottle of flammable liquid with a lit rag was thrown at the front door of a flat there. Fortunately, it didn't take light. The householder managed to extinguish it before that happened. No arrests have been made at this time. However, there's ongoing lab examination from items that were seized from that location. Thankfully, to date, there's been no follow-up incidents or similar incidents in that area since then. In terms of housebreakings, there's been a few separate housebreakings over the last 3-month period, mainly in Cumbernauld, Kildrum and Neighbouring Hill. But I have to say there's no real kind of pattern to these. They're all very sporadic, quite well spread out, nothing necessarily to link them. And amongst these crimes, we have had some success in terms of arrests, namely 2 males been caught breaking into a house in Glenhove Road, both of whom were in possession of weapons. That was on the 7th of February, and they were both remanded in custody. Additionally, we had a male arrested having been caught breaking into a house in Millcroft Road in Cumbernauld, that was on the 2nd of December, and a male arrested after being caught breaking into a house, again, Glenhove Road, and that was on the 14th of February. Also, in relation to the acquisitive crime theme, there was a 39-year-old male who was arrested, believe it or not, just 6 days after being released from prison for similar offences. He was charged when we eventually got hold of him with 12 different offences, ranging from thefts from motor vehicles and thefts of charity tins from 2 shops in Cumbernauld. So he's safely back in his prison cell. Other topics, breaches of COVID regulations, that continues to be a real issue for us. Many who live in the local community will be aware of that. So house parties continue to be a feature, despite the amount of publication of the restrictions. They continue to be ignored. So locally, we've certainly increased the amount of enforcement that we've been doing. We still go by many will have heard the term the 4 E's, which is to engage, explain, encourage prior to enforcement. But very few people can realistically say that they're unaware of the restrictions now, so we are very swiftly moving to the enforcement stage. So we've seen a huge increase in the amount of penalty fines and arrests that have been made in this regard. And for our most persistent offenders and households that these parts, we continue to work with our colleagues in NLC housing and sanctuary housing, and joint visits are steadily beginning to be a feature again, so we hope that that will make an impact long term into this issue. Online crime, online scammers, that was mentioned at our last meeting, and sadly it continues to be on the increase. In fact, it is the reality. Certainly not unique to our area. This is a national problem, that's for sure. COVID restrictions have been a big part of that. Criminals turning to online scamming instead of more traditional means. So there's plenty of messages being put out there online certainly anyone that's looking for any advice should do so. We're trying to put that out locally in our police social media as well, but we're also open to and considering other means of trying to get that message out, in particular to our hard to reach groups, and I include like our more elderly and vulnerable in our community. But the message, just very briefly, that I would put out there is that if you receive an email unexpectedly from the likes of your bank, or rather purporting to be your bank, or the DVLA or TV licensing or anything of that nature, and it's not something that you're expecting, but actually you normally pay these types of bills through direct debits, then my advice would be just to simply ignore it, because the moment that you open up these emails and interact with them, that's when these scammers can gain access to your privately saved information on whatever device you're using, whether it be your phone, your tablet, your computer. So as I say, sadly it is on the increase, so we need to consider all options to try and get that message out there, because sadly more and more people are falling foul of that, and that really is a theme that we're seeing. As I say, the advice is available online, and we'll continue to do that. Yeah, but that's it from me.
Thank you very much. Anyone get any questions? Nope, not seeing anybody. Okay, I'm going to go now to Gerard McLaughlin, Head of Education, who'd like to give us a quick update. Gerard.
Evening, everyone. I thought I'd probably start with some good news with regards to our 1140 hours project. For those of you who don't know, this is the Scottish Government flagship project for early years, and it's 1140 hours. And we just took a paper to committee just last week talking about one of the buildings that we are hoping to move forward. And I can just let you know that it's now been signed off, and building work should start, and that's the Cumbernauld Village early years. I know, Lisa, you're cheering, so I thought that was a bit of good news to start off. So it's great news. It's now all been signed off. For those people that know, we've been waiting a long time for this one, and we've been working with the community, it has to be said, to make sure that we've got this right. And those of you in the know, it's on the old Cumbernauld Village Primary School site. So that work will be starting soon. The other sort of major update for us has been a significant amount of change within education with regards to the return to schools. You'll have heard the First Minister's announcement that the children and young people will be returning in a different way from the 15th. So on the 15th, we have S4 Test 6 returning, and that's our senior phase pupils, and that's particularly around the fact that they have got to do assessment work, and that has to be done in time for examination and certification type issues. In addition, we've got a primary 4 to 7 that are returning, and there's also this ask about S1 to S3 return as well. There's a letter will be going out to parents and carers probably tomorrow to give them the update, and there'll obviously be updates on social media. A big, I think, focus for us, for our staff and our senior phase pupils, has been about the lateral flow tests, which have actually been very successful. From a staff's perspective, it's been really well received. For those of you who know about it, the success rate of them is actually very low, but our information so far is they've actually been, the success rate of them has been very high for us so far. So it's a bit different from what the science was telling us, because what the evidence is showing is those people who have had a positive lateral flow test have also got a positive PCR test. So it's given real reassurance there for our staff and certainly for our young people returning. So a lot of guidance has come in overnight from Scottish Government that we have to turn around to bring our children and young people back. And there has been a big focus on our vulnerable children. Been working with a lot of our partners. We've identified through social work and education, gathering the data we have on our children and young people across North Lanarkshire to ensure that we have eyes on our most vulnerable children, certainly at least on a weekly basis. So that's just a few updates for you, but certainly the good news with regards to Cumbernauld Village Family Learning Centre.
Thanks very much, Gerard. And I know how much work the Cumbernauld Village Community Council has put into this as well. And so I'm delighted for you, Lisa. That is really good news.
And Chair, if you don't mind me coming back in, the reason why I started off with that is that obviously Suzanne plays a pivotal role from the staff, and she would never have let me away with the fact of not mentioning about the early years first. So that's why I started off with that, and it is some nice news, especially when there's other things being going on. That is nice that we're actually going to have it started soon.
Great stuff, Jenna. Thanks very much. Anybody get any questions? Councillor Goldie?
Hi Gerard, it's just me putting my geeky laboratory hat on again. It's encouraging that the lateral flow test has been backed up with the PCR. Are we monitoring, do you get feedback on the strains that are identified through the PCR, or just get a positive as in the PCR?
Yeah, we just get a positive, and you'll know that the certainly the rules change from a public health perspective, that even the those close contacts of the positive case, they now also too have to go for a PCR test, and even if it's negative, they still have to self-isolate. But to answer your specific question, no, we don't get that sort of detailed information.
No doubt the NHS will be monitoring that, or whoever's carrying out the test anyway. Thanks for that, that's encouraging.
Thanks very much, thank you. I'm now going to go to Raymond Taylor from the Health and Social Care Partnership for a quick update.
Okay, I'll just mention one thing, and that's the vaccination arrangements. I don't know if Anne wants to add, Anne Alexander wants to add anything to this, but the vaccination arrangements in Muirfield have worked very well. There's some teething problems. They included not only the patient flow in and out of Muirfield, but also some of the parking arrangements. We had to kind of close off access to Brown Road at one point to make sure people were using the new road, which many people in Cumbernauld I don't think even knew existed. So they've gone very well. The take-up has been phenomenal. As of next week, there'll be a change in the arrangements with the bulk of the population in North Lanarkshire being asked to go to Ravenscraig Sports Centre, and where they're going to open up a mass vaccination centre. I think there'll be something like 30 lines of vaccination being given out, so it'll be a much bigger project. And the rationale for that is to try and vaccinate just as many people as possible in as short a time as possible. There'll still be an arrangement whereby people can get vaccinations in the Cumbernauld area to put energy and effort into Ravenscraig, and I'm sure people on the call have already had the vaccines, but it's crucial that people take it up as just as quickly as possible. Thank you, Suzanne.
Thanks very much. Councillor Goldie?
Thanks, Suzanne. It's me again. I understand that there's going to be vaccine availability back in Cumbernauld from about the 28th. It's just to see what the arrangements are. I believe if people can't make Ravenscraig, they contact and arrange details. Is that going to be made more publicly available over the next couple of weeks, Raymond?
That's what I've heard, but I've not seen that written down as yet, so I'd want to pause. At this stage, I think we're trying to encourage as many people to go to Ravenscraig, and there will also be assistance with transport if that's necessary. But then if that doesn't suit people, then we will there will be a facility in Cumbernauld.
Thanks very much. Anyone else get any comment or questions? Nope, I'm not seeing anyone. Thanks very much for that update, Raymond. That was really helpful.
Okay.
Okay, I think that takes us to any other business. I'm guessing that there probably won't be any. Nope. Okay. Okay, well, with that, we'll note that the date and time of the next meeting is Wednesday, the 26th of May. That'll be a 6:30 till 8:30. If anybody, again, just a reminder, if anybody would like to take on the chairing of that meeting, then that would be great. And failing that, we'll see you all then.
Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, thanks. Good night.
Thanks, Chair.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Bye. Bye.
Good night.